If you're a real estate agent and you're tired of cold calling, door knocking, and spending money on ads, then subscribe to this podcast. We discuss leveraging the power of YouTube for your real estate business and how these strategies earned us over $1 million in GCI our first year in real estate. My name is Levi Lascsak and my partner is Travis Plumb. Let's get started. All right, let me know in the chat if you can hear us okay. Yep, okay, you can hear us. Thank you. Got Dominic. What's up, Dominic? What's up, Zach, my man? All right, so this is YouTube for Real Estate, and today we are going to be discussing YouTube Shorts. There's been some recent updates come out, and this is something that you'd have to go back far into the archives to probably find those conversations, and I'm not even sure if we were recording them at the time. But we've discussed Shorts a little bit, and I'll share kind of the backstory of what we did on our channel and, the approach we took, the experiments we ran, and the decisions we made on why we split off Shorts initially. So when Shorts came out last year, which was probably, maybe 12, 13, 14 months ago, I did my research, which was not much to research at the time. There wasn't a lot happening in the Shorts world. It was brand new to YouTube, and I spent time in Clubhouse here. There was a few more YouTube rooms back in the day, and I discussed with several creators. Now there was all different swings of opinions whenever it came to the Shorts. They were brand new. There wasn't a lot of information. It was a little confusing on how to get a short qualified as a short, where it would go, where it would end up. And everybody I asked, had a different opinion, a different theory, a different thought process. But, the thing was that's why I like to have conversations, learn, ask questions, figure out a plan, a strategy, because I just wanted to make sure that I approached it correctly. So probably a little over a month and a half, maybe almost 2 months, I kind of went on this dilemma of adding Shorts to the channel because, it was something that we were talking about for quite some time as far as the difference between long form and short form content. I mean, you can look at any studies. We mentioned this stat in our upcoming book, Passive Prospecting, which is, I'm not even sure how they studied this, but I'd have to look at the exact quote. So, and this is not, the exact quote is going to be in the book. We checked out the research, but they said the average attention span or the human attention span, they said right now, is less than a goldfish, which they're saying the goldfish is at 9 seconds, and I believe the human attention span was measured at 6.8, but I'm not sure how you measure a goldfish's attention span. That befuddles me. I'm a little confused on that one, but still, 6.8 seconds, that's a really short amount of time. Now, that plays into why everybody says that you have 3 seconds to hook people on your videos, which is, barely any time to really get a point across or make something that is hook worthy. You can absolutely, but it takes a little bit longer than 3 seconds. But still, they're saying 3 seconds is the determination. Now, they say attention spans are dead these days, which is why everybody has to be a dancing real estate agent on TikTok if they want to succeed on social media in the real estate space right now. And we've always preached different to that, which is long form content is king. That's where people really develop relationships with you. In addition to that, YouTube is a place where people go to search. They are intentional. This is something that we've discussed several times, is our average contact to under contract on the first 217 transactions we did from the channel was 47 days. So on average, from the first time anybody ever reached out to us getting them under contract was 47 days. That is extremely fast. And, the thing is that these other platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, are interruption platforms. As far as I know, not a lot of people are going there to say, to search for real estate. They're not saying, hey, honey, it's time to buy a house. Let's go onto Facebook and see what's on the market. Hey, honey, it's time to buy a house. Let's go on Instagram and see if we can find an agent posting really cool market reports. Or, hey, honey, it's time to buy a house. Let's go on TikTok and see if we can find the best dancing real estate agent. They typically go to those platforms for entertainment value. Now they're saying TikTok is turning into the search platform of Gen Z, and I know TikTok is moving towards search-based content, so that could be very lucrative, I think, coming up. But ideally, interruption platforms, short-form platforms are usually there to distract, to kill time. You're sitting in traffic. How many times have you sat at a red light? And the few short seconds there are at a red light, sometimes they seem like they last forever, but you pull out your phone and you start scrolling on social media. You go to Facebook or Instagram or TikTok and you just say, oh, I'll kill the next 10 to 20 seconds checking out videos on those platforms. I mean, you're standing in line at Chick-fil-A, or you're in the drive-thru, or you're getting gas. Those, to me, that is where... that's where I find my time. If I were to go there, I really don't spend a lot of time consuming short form content, except towards probably the very end of the night whenever I go in, and that's usually whenever I check my DMs. I don't have notifications turned on or anything like that, so I go in and check that whenever I determine it's necessary or whenever I have time. I feel like if somebody, DMs me... on Instagram, it's not something that is urgent or, terribly important. And so I just wait till the end of the day, usually after dinner, whenever I go in and I start checking DMs and things like that on social media. So, from that standpoint, that's where most people go to kill time, as a distraction for entertainment, to not necessarily intentionally search out solutions for their problems, right? And so that was the big issue that I had with short form information coming out. And then also, how was it going to be found on YouTube? How were people going to come across it? Where would it live? They were talking about the shorts feed or the shorts shelf they referred to back in the day. And I wasn't really sure. I was like, okay, everybody was like, well, is it a shorts feed? Is it a shorts shelf? What does that actually mean? I don't get it. And that's the thing is, so now I'm not saying these other platforms don't work. Clearly, we know a lot of real estate agents that are successful on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. So, I'm not knocking those platforms. I'm just saying from a preferential standpoint, of course, we are biased towards YouTube, but initially you can definitely generate business, but it's not likely immediate business. That you can, but not as immediate as what we find on YouTube. Again, average contact to contract was 47 days out of 217 transactions. Now, people can find your content on these short form platforms. They can come across it whenever they're killing time or looking for information, and I get that. But that's likely where they will like you or follow you or subscribe or something like that. But they may not be in the market for another 12, 18, 24, 36 months. So it is a great way to brand, and I do recommend to be on those platforms. But if you're looking to generate a significant amount of business, I still feel like long form content is there. Think about it. Your average TV show is at least half an hour. And then it's usually in a series format. And what happens is, have you ever watched a TV show, the first TV show for 30, for the first episode or 2 or 3 episodes, and you almost didn't watch it after the first, second, or third episode, but something told you to hang on, or somebody told you to hang on, right? Somebody that liked the series said, hey, you got to wait till episode 3. It's a little slow in the beginning. And I think I just heard somebody mention that about one of the new series or whatever, Lord of the Rings or something that came out recently. They're like, okay, just get through the first episode, right? And what happens is, as you watch more and more content, you develop more of a relationship. So, that's the thing, is that long form content, I believe, is the best for conversion and for developing relationships. So that's what I got really torn on, was the fact that when shorts came out, is that going to obstruct the channel? Where, how are people going to find the content? Will it get pushed out to the right people? Because I know YouTube is very, very good about finding your ideal client or your ideal viewer. So I thought, well, after almost probably 2 months of discussions with a lot of creators and on YouTube, I just decided there's only one real way to find out, and that's to experiment with it on our own channel, period. That's what it comes down to, regardless of what anybody says, including myself. every channel is different. Every experience is different. Every market is different. And so, what we say worked for us, we have seen it work for many other people, but it's not likely going to work exactly the same, right? There's going to be some differences and nuances and things that you have to learn and understand and really develop on your own. So I thought there's no other way but then to just test this, to give it a try. But I knew I needed a valid test. It wasn't like, oh, I'm just going to post a short or two and see what happens. It was, I need to have a plan. Again, if you treat YouTube like a hobby, it'll pay you like a hobby. If you treat it like a business, it can pay you like a business. So I needed a plan, a little implementation plan, so that I knew I would have a start, a finish, and what I was looking for exactly. Well, to me, that was, okay, I'm going to give it a 30 days. And I figured the best way to do it was to post at least one short a day for 30 days to give that a try. So that's what I did. Now, I made the content not from repurposed content. Now, that's the thing, is that if you look on my Instagram or TikTok, where we do a lot of, we teach a lot of YouTube stuff, most of that is repurposed. It's chopped out of a lot of coaching I do, calls like this call. I've mentioned this before. We film this call because it will get chopped up and turned into reels, probably 20, 30 reels. And that's something we were talking about yesterday, is every real estate agent is making 100 pieces of content per day. It's just a matter of whether you document that or not. If you're making calls 2 hours a day, or prospecting 2 hours a day, it's very simple to set up a camera right next to you, and especially a phone, if you have an additional phone, in a vertical format, and record you making calls for 2 hours a day. It doesn't mean you're going to publish all 2 hours, but you could, have an editor chop that stuff up and pull out some really good nuggets or things that you say or objections you overcome or concerns or, things like that. And you could turn that all into content. You could even, after each call, press record on your phone right next to you and give yourself a critique. What did you learn? What could you do better? What did you say correctly? What will you say differently next time? So if you're making, 50 calls a day prospecting, after each call, if you made a reel, explaining exactly what happened in that call, the success, the failure of that call, or how it happened. You could potentially have 50 reels a day if you're making 50 calls. Now, that'll take a little additional time to do that, but really, when you add that up, you just run through there. That's an additional 50 minutes if you do 1 minute per call, or you could do half of that. What do you need really? That could give you 1 day worth of calling, could give you 2 months worth of reels almost. So, anyways, that was a side rant there, but just some food for thought. But I didn't want to just chop up content. I wanted to make specific content, because here's the other thought process behind it was, if I do the shorts and I keep doing them, I'll have a format or a bucket or a playlist or whatever it is you want to call it. I wanted to make it into a utility aspect as well, or utility for the client. And then that way, if I stopped, those videos would have some relevance as well. So that was the other thing I was thinking about, is that if this doesn't work out and I stop after 30 days, I did want those videos to have an evergreen format depending on whatever happened with YouTube. And again, this was still very open to debate about what was going to happen exactly. Well, I started to post the shorts, and what I decided to do was make 2 different main pieces of content for the shorts, which was things to do and places to eat in Dallas. Thought that was something very simple. Found several top, you could do this right now. You can probably Google your city or even go on Yelp. If you go on Yelp, Yelp does a lot of top 10 list. You could type in barbecue restaurants, Mexican restaurants, Asian restaurants, Indian restaurants, and you could get the top 10 Indian restaurants and the top 10 barbecue restaurants and the top 10 Mexican restaurants all in your city just by going on Yelp. And so that's where I would go to. And I would look what they listed at the top 10, but I might change out the number 1 or number 2 based on my own opinion. So I did things to eat, and which was the top 10. Here's the top 10 barbecue restaurants in Dallas, Texas. Here's the top 10 Mexican restaurants in Dallas, Texas. and I would say number 1, number 2, and I would just read off the list, but then we would add in B-roll of pictures of each of those restaurants, which really kind of kept it changing up a little bit. But the reason we did that as well, so I would have that things to do and places to eat, and then things to do, I was like, here's the top 10 museums, here's the top 10 parks, here's the top 10 things to do for kids, here's the top 10 things to do for free in Dallas. And so it was things to do, places to eat. But I also thought, because if I don't continue this, at least I have these videos and we can create a couple of playlists from there. I was planning on doing, about 15 each. So I was going to do it for 30 days. So 15 each. I'd have 15 videos on things to do in Dallas and 15 videos on places to eat. And I thought that could also be a good utility use or aspect for our clients. So if for all else fails, if I don't see what I want to see, I can list these, and this is what we've done now, is we've made those 2 different playlists, and we include those in our welcome to town, or welcome their visiting emails. So whenever people say, hey, I'm going to come into town, or I'm coming to visit this weekend, or basically whenever they say they're coming to town, so it's our coming to town email, we send them an email. We ask them for their flights, for their hotel, the duration of their stay, when would they like to see homes, or when are they available? Because, someone could come in for 4 days, but they may only want to look at homes for 1 day. They may have family or friends, or want to go to Six Flags or the ballpark. Who knows? But that's why we want to clarify and understand that how many days you're going to be here and what days are you available to view homes. So we understand their expectations as well. Because if they say, hey, look, I'm going to be there for 4 days, but I only have 1 day on Friday and that's it. We've got 5 hours, or 4 hours. We need to know that. Allow me to take a quick break to remind you that we have very important links in the description below. If you want the full story of how we closed over $1 million in commissions our first year and over $2.3 million in commissions our second year, check out the first link. Also, you have the link to our #1 Amazon best-selling book, Passive Prospecting. Last, if you enjoy this podcast and you're a giving person, leave a 5-star review, please. Now back to the episode. We prep them for that. But now we include the playlist in there, which is, and also here's some recommendations while you're in town. Here's a playlist of things to do and a playlist of places to eat in Dallas. So it gives them a very quick reference. It allows them to view very short videos, and they can of course search those by title. If they're interested in barbecue restaurants, well, shoot, they can go to that video, and in 60 seconds I'll tell them the top 10 barbecue restaurants, and then from there they can Google it, look it up, find it, and go visit a barbecue restaurant if they want. So that had the utility aspect to it, which was what I was looking for. That's how I plan to make the content evergreen from the beginning, depending on whatever YouTube did. Because one thing they made clear in the beginning was that I'm pretty sure in the beginning they made it clear it wasn't searchable, right? It was more like what was going to happen. They were talking about the shorts feed and the shorts shelf. It was just this virality aspect. And so ultimately we just had to test it. So I started to publish 1 per day, and that only lasted about 3 weeks. So I didn't make it the whole 4 weeks, because after 3 weeks I decided to stop. And that was based on the results that I was seeing. And what I was seeing was pretty much every single video would get 500 to 1,000 views in the first hour. Basically, it would, or maybe by the second or third hour, it would come out flat, deader than a doornail. And then all of a sudden, within 1 hour, boom, it would shoot straight up. You would look at the analytics, and it would just go straight into, a straight spike. And then it would level off. And after that straight spike, it would completely die, flatline, like 0 views after that, nothing at all. And so what I learned from that was that YouTube was placing it in what they call the shorts feed, which the short feed is basically what it's like if you log in to TikTok, or you click on the Reels button on Instagram. If you click on that Reels tab on Instagram, all you have to do is just use your thumb, and you can sit there and just flip through Reels, right? You open up TikTok, all you got to do is start using your thumb, and you can just flip through TikToks, just one after another. So that's what was happening was that YouTube was just placing those shorts in people's feed. So if they actually went to the shorts feed on YouTube, it would just get randomly put in there. Well, the thing is that I was just thinking, well, 1,000 people in 1 hour, that can't be the target market, right? It can't be the ideal market. It can't be people that are really interested in real estate or things to do or places to eat around Dallas. Maybe it was, I don't know, maybe it reached hyperlocal people. I'm not sure, but that's the issue, is it doesn't really tell you the audience you're reaching there either. But I also thought, well, that's a lot of people that can't really be my ideal customer, because I think it's just randomly getting thrown out there. But once I saw that consistently over 3 weeks, that's why I decided to stop, was because I didn't feel like it was getting to the right audience at the right time. And, I didn't see our calls increase during that time either. So even though an extra 1,000 views per day, since I was publishing one short per day, there wasn't it didn't seem like there was a differentiation in calls to the, inbound. So it didn't really affect that. So I thought, okay, well, what's really the point? And plus, if it getting 1,000 views and it's nothing after that, well, that's not evergreen, Now I can send it to clients, as I mentioned, as a utility in emails and coming to town emails. But after that, it has no purpose on YouTube. How will people ever find it unless they come directly to the channel? And if they come to the channel, they're probably not looking for short form content, right? They're in research mode. They're looking for answers and solutions. So that's why I stopped, and that's it. Hadn't thought really twice about it for the last year. And that was it. I've checked back a couple of times on those shorts, and sure enough, still no views, completely flatlined, 0 after the fact, until I believe it was one of our calls a couple of weeks ago. And I saw that YouTube did this update where they said in the update, hey, now you can, so here's update number 1. Now you can clip shorts directly from your long form content. So you have the option now on your videos to go ahead and just clip your direct shorts from that. So you can do that, or an editor can do that. And the thing is that they will link that short back to the long form video. So before, as well, if we wanted to link to a long form video, let's say we were cutting snippets out of it, we would have to put that link in the description, and we would have to make reference to that. But again, this goes into platform psychology and consumption psychology. I just don't think that when people are watching short form content, they're in that mood to watch long form content, which is another reason why we don't recommend posting to other social media platforms, your YouTube videos. Because if I'm on TikTok or Instagram and I'm randomly scrolling, and then I go through your feed and I see you've posted a video, and I click on it and it takes me to YouTube, and I see it's 20 minutes long, I'm probably going to say, well, I don't want to watch a 20-minute video. I want to go back to being entertained, watching 30 and 45-second clips. Plus, again, they're probably not likely researching for that information on these other platforms whenever you post videos there. So that's why we never really recommend to do that. So, from there, it wasn't searchable. So what I noticed in the last month, though, I went back and started to check the shorts because, what was that? Okay, so yeah, update number 1 was you can clip directly from there, and they're going to link that short now to the long form content. So you do have opportunity. I haven't looked at how that's done exactly, but I'm assuming it's just going to be by a quick button or push of a button or something like that. So, from there, update number 2 was the fact that shorts are going to be searchable now. They will show up in search-based content. That I found interesting, and I thought, well, let me check this out. Let me do some tests. Well, I went into my analytics of my shorts, and I hadn't even realized it, but over the last couple of weeks, they had all taken off. All of them. I went through all of them, and they all started to hockey stick, like a 45-degree angle of viewership. And in totality, over the last month, over the last 28 days, we've gotten an additional 5,000 views from our shorts, from those, what do we post, like 20 to 21 shorts over a year ago. Now we've gotten an equivalent of 5,000 views in the last 28 days just from those shorts resurfacing as search-based content. And sure enough, I went to YouTube on an incognito window and searched best Indian restaurant in Dallas, because that was one of my shorts, best Indian restaurant in Dallas. And sure enough, my short video popped up there within the top 3 search results as a short. And that was it. I was like, okay, well, there we go. It's all searchable now. So that's to me is a game changer. I mean, that's a big deal. However, I'm not sure how to apply that just yet either, because I could easily, go to making shorts and posting shorts on the channel. But I'm still wondering, is that the best thing to do? Because again, I still believe in the fact that people going to YouTube are looking for long form content. I understand shorts are having a huge impact right now and they're getting a lot of views, but it's also with a lot of creators that I don't know, it may fit in there. So it's one of those things that's very confusing to me, because we could start posting shorts. Again, I think they have the aspect to go mini viral. I'll say mini viral from the fact that it will probably get a ton of views within the first couple of hours if it gets put in the shorts feed. So that means it's getting thrown out there. Now, that's the thing. It'll come into people's short feed. Is that more brand awareness? Yes. Is that more exposure? Yes. Is that people looking to buy real estate today? Probably not that much as it is for people directly looking for that information. But now that it's also searchable, they could search that information, and if your short pops up, that could be their first introduction to your content. So to me, it's a game changer. Now, the only other thing that really makes me a little hesitant on doing this is, how do you publish? What's the publishing schedule? If we're already doing 3 videos per week, long form content, what would happen if we published 2 or 3 shorts every other day that we're not publishing long form content? So if we're publishing on Sundays and Tuesdays and Thursdays, then what do we post 2 shorts on Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays and Saturdays? Do we do that? Because I think you're going to have to really be consistent. I don't think like 1 short per week is going to have a huge impact, and it may not get picked up by YouTube or thrown in the shorts feed, which is ideally what you would want, is to have it get some traction. I mean, the search will be there for the long term, but you have an opportunity to kind of go mini viral if it gets thrown in the shorts feed. But posting once per week, may not do the trick. Everything that I've also seen is that, they are looking for 2 or 3 posts per day if you're going to post the shorts. Or could we post shorts, on the same days as long form content? Do we just publish 2 shorts a day every day? Or what I thought about is, what if we did it on Saturday, like Saturday Shorts Day, and we posted 3 or 4 or 5 shorts just in one day, like a 8 a.m., a 10 a.m., a 12 p.m., a 2 p.m., a 4 p.m., something like that. What if you did a week's worth of shorts in one day, once a week? So there's a lot of different options there and considerations that I'm still kind of tossing back and forth, and I'm just wondering, well, I don't know. What's the right answer? Is there a right answer? I'm not really sure. So it's interesting, but now that the fact that shorts are searchable, all of our shorts from last year resurfaced, is a big deal, but I'm not sure exactly what that means just yet. So let's see here. Chrissy, anything you'd like to add in there? Any thoughts? If your microphone is working, or if you're there, she's probably singing Yankee Doodle Dandy with the kids. What's up, Armando? How are you, my man?
Howdy, yeah, good, Levi's. Always looking forward to your rooms. Good talk, good space. Yeah, no, man, I've been really kind of trying to do the short YouTube shorts over the weekend. I found that it's a super, in my opinion, super short and simple. I have this little app that kind of combines video clips together to make it, I guess, to make it look nice. I did it for my open house over the weekend, and it was like a quick, 45-second tour. So I guess couple of questions. The max length of the shorts, and then second, have y'all done anything to squeeze in, or what have y'all? Because you talked about the best X amount, whatever culture restaurant, like whether it's like you say it's Indian or Asian or whatever. I mean, what have y'all done as far as like getting people to call you from the shorts, or the viewerships that have received a ton of views from the shorts to pack in all that information in one short in that little amount of time? I don't know, at this point, what, a minute? So those two questions. And then I'd put my best performing short so far from over the weekend, I've done 4, was a pet short. My dog was stalking a squirrel, and it got 4,000 views.
All right. Okay. So yeah, good questions. So the first one, they need to be under 60 seconds to qualify as a short. And some will say 59 seconds. Some will say 58 seconds. So yeah, I think anywhere less than 58 seconds should keep you safe. Now, before, back in the day, you had to include hashtag shorts in the title. That's not the case anymore. And of course, it's got to be in vertical format. If you've watched any shorts on YouTube, you'll also know that they've restructured how you view it on a desktop, so it doesn't have the black bars of death on both sides, or negative space on both sides. It just kind of views as if you were viewing it on a cell phone. So they've made that more of a viewable experience. But yeah, as long as you're vertical format under 60 seconds, then it should qualify for the short. Now, that's funny you mentioned that, because that's something I forgot to mention as well, which is I looked at the view duration. Now, the thing is that in what I'm seeing on short form content, what a lot of people say really is the hack is to have an ending that loops into your beginning. So that way, if it's a 30 second or 15 second or 30 or whatever the length is, your ending doesn't really have an ending, but whenever it loops into the beginning, it causes people to watch that reel at least another 10, 20, 30%. Sometimes they'll watch it 100% more. And so then you get these view durations of 110, 120, 130%, because people sometimes don't even realize that the reel started over. Now, that's on Reels and TikTok. I noticed Reels now, I believe play twice, and then it will stop and say, watch again, so you have to click to watch it again if you want after a second time, but it can loop. I think TikTok just loops automatically. I'm not sure if YouTube, actually I think it does. Actually, I could just pull up a short right now to test this out. But what I noticed on my view durations on the end of my shorts, I did do this last year, is I added a call to action at the end, which was, and by the way, my name's Levi. I'm a real estate agent. And if you are thinking about making a move to Dallas, give us a call, shoot us a text, or send us an email, all in the description below. Just very short and simple like that. And what I noticed was the view duration, as soon as I got done with the top 10 list and said, my name is Levi, I'm a real estate agent, it was a dramatic drop off. So even though that closeout or call to action was 4 to 5 seconds, it's enough where people said, okay, I'm out of here. And then it gave my shorts zero chance to loop or to get view durations of over 100%. So now if I were to make, shorts going forward, that's something I would definitely keep in mind, right? So is having the endless loop on there. Let's see, best Indian food in Dallas. I'm just going to see if mine comes up, my short, and it does, number 3. Okay, so anyways, Justin, how are you doing today, my man? I see you jumping in there. So
other than Clubhouse not letting my Bluetooth work, doing well. No complaints, brother. Plowing through some major stuff in Prime, but wanted to pop in and say hi really quick.
Yeah. Well, I know you're a little more adept to the short form content. Any thoughts on that end piece, that looping aspect, or
Didn't hear the conversation about the looping. So are you talking about like on TikTok and Shorts in terms of like getting people to rewatch the video? Is that your question?
Yeah, where there's no real ending, like the ending kind of merges into the beginning.
With
so
the beginning.
Yeah.
So here's a couple things I'm chewing on. I'm gonna throw something super controversial at you that I want to talk about after, because I want to hear your opinion. And I'll start with that, and then I'll kind of loop back to that at the end.
Hey, if you love Indian food and you're in Dallas, Texas, then you definitely want to... Oops, sorry. Go for it.
All good. I was watching Vanessa Lau's video, and she was talking about, like, stop doing these 5 things on YouTube today, right? And one was uploading captions and spending all that money on rev.com and otter.ai. That YouTube has actually made some massive changes to how they're doing their own captioning and subtitling. So I'm so curious about like stopping that for a month and seeing how that affects my watch time. Stop gamifying the click-through rate. That a lot of people that are strictly gamifying that, they're actually hurting their watch time because they may get click-through, but if the content isn't good, they're not getting the watch time. The third thing is watch time is literally everything on the YouTube channel. And I think the last one was around the short form and treating it like a social media platform. So the reason I kind of tee this up is for the last week, I've been really treating my YouTube app like a social media platform. So creating shorts natively in the app and creating content that delivers such good value that you're going to rewatch it. So that's how I think of my loops, Levi, is I try and give you concise information that you're going to want to rewatch and be like, oh crap, I got to grab a pen and write that down. So I think you can create that type of looping content organically. Zach does a really good job of this on TikTok. He does really quick cuts and content that's going to make you want to watch it because you missed something in the beginning that he talks about at the end. So I think that's how I think about it, is how can I create content that my audience is going to want to watch 2 or 3 times. I'm getting the red bar of death, but hopefully that made sense. And I'd love your opinion on what I shared at the beginning, that, you know, keywords are not as important as you think they are. Like, people spending all this time worrying about the perfect keywords when they should be worrying about the content. What are your thoughts on what I shared with Vanessa's thoughts on the future of YouTube?
Yeah, I love that question, and we heard you loud and clear, so that was good. And let me just jump back to Armando real quick. Did that help out, Armando, or did you have a further question on that? If you're there still, Mr. Armando.
I'm here, sorry.
Okay.
I was digging into your stuff, man.
Okay. Did that help?
I didn't know you had a podcast. Yeah. It helped. Appreciate it.
Okay, cool. All right. So yeah, let's go back to what Justin was asking. This is something I've gone back and forth with a couple of other creators, and here's my opinion on that. Still, I still believe what I like to say is you optimize for the algorithm in the beginning, and then you optimize for the audience, once you have an audience. Because the thing is that what I've found and what we've been able to duplicate with others as well is that basing things on keyword and on search results helps you get found sooner rather than later. I mean, YouTube is a search engine, and keywords and SEO do matter. I don't buy into the fact that, the thing is you talk to a lot of creators, and a lot of them, I mean, Mr. Beast is a prime example, right? Mr. Beast, took 5 years to get to 1,000 subs. Okay. Now here's the thing. I will never probably get to 100 million subscribers like he has now. But we got to 1,000 within 3 months. Why? Because I believe we optimize everything off of search results. Now we're also in a completely different niche, a completely different industry, and we're in an opportunity to where people are actively searching for this information. Now the thing is that Mr. Beast is a personality, right? He has a certain type of content, and whenever you make things about what you want to make them about, and it can be good content. I'm not saying that he doesn't have good content or Vanessa Lau doesn't have good content, but I think that's where it takes a lot of time, because you talk to anybody, Sean Cannell, Benji Travis, it took them a long time to build up their following because they were creating specific content that people had to find value in that content, connect with their personality, And when you're creating content that you want to connect with, people that fit with you and that interest, and I think that just takes more time to build up, which is where you'll hear a lot of these stories of people that are very successful now that say, well, it took me a year or 2 or 3 or sometimes 5 to even get traction. But now, do they worry about keywords and this and that? No, because now they have an audience. The thing is Mr. Beast is not making videos, as far as I know, based on keywords. He's making videos that he believes his audience is going to watch and consume. And he understands his audience, which I say from a real estate side, because, we're real estate agents, that, if I started making, here's my life or my personal blog or vlog, or I could even make good content. But if I didn't gear that around to what people were already searching, I think it does take longer for people to find that content. Not that it won't happen, but that's why I like to say optimize for the algorithm in the beginning. And then once you have an audience, once we started to establish an audience and we started getting phone calls and emails and text, and then people started coming into town and we're working with them and having conversations, then we started to know our audience, right? Reading comments on the channel. So the more and more all of that built up and we got to know our audience a lot better. Now, can I make a video not necessarily keyword optimized? Yeah, absolutely. And I've done that a lot, to where I make a video based on what I believe the audience is going to consume and watch more, and it's going to hit with them. But then also we'll still optimize it in the back end, because it will become search. And to me, search is an evergreen strategy as well. I mean, I love browse and suggested, and most of our videos, when we publish them, that's where a significant amount of views will come through in the beginning. But once the browse and suggested starts to die off, because there will be a point where it does start to die off, I've seen it time and time again that search will take over on the back end. So when YouTube decides, for whatever reason, that it doesn't push that video out as much as possible, to me, search is the best backup, and it's the best evergreen strategy, because we are optimizing and working on that in the back end, so it builds that up. So I'm both ways on it, Justin, if that makes sense. I mean, I understand exactly what she's talking about, and I do believe in making good content. And what we end up, discussing with a lot of real estate agents is beginning in their journey. And when they're beginning in their journey, they're just trying to get found. And in my opinion, what we found is that search is really a great way to get found. Does that make sense?
Yeah, tons. Actually, there's 2 things I want to just follow up with on that. So Dale in the audience is killing it on TikTok. I met him in a few of our creator rooms. So if you want to talk about short form, he's like a black belt to my 3-stripe white belt. But to your point, Levi, what you were talking about from YouTube is the perfect answer, right? Because if I take my 2 channels, what's the purpose of your channel? It's, on my prime channel is to get the phone ringing and get leads in those areas. And I do think you have to optimize for search and understand that language. On my personal YouTube channel, it's funny, I can feel the platform working in different ways, right? Where on my personal channel, I don't want the phone to ring. What I want to create is shareable, bingeable content to create the 1,000 true fans, right? So I find, the not caring as much or optimizing for keywords or even click-through rate has been better for me on my personal channel, albeit it's a smaller channel. I can feel the avatar and the person I'm creating content for really coming to fruition. And it's fascinating because I can feel the difference on the 2 channels. But I can see how the expedited growth, if you're treating it as an actual business on a searchable channel, the algorithm, it wants to know, who do I need to serve this to, right? And there's no reason not to use the tools that are in place for that. And I'll give one super hack that I use, and I'm inspired by your channel, is when I'm doing my keyword research for neighborhoods, I'll literally pull up full blog tour of Dallas, Texas, and I'll use keywords everywhere to see how did you structure your keywords. And then I'll use a Google document, find and replace Dallas for London, Texas for Ontario, and use different formats and combinations to see how it works. What I've noticed is because of our population density, it's very different, how to structure videos and like just the view counts and what will make the phone ring, but there's no reason to reinvent the wheel. So I think that was the perfect answer. You do definitely want to optimize for the algorithm to help it understand who your audience avatar is. But I definitely find that, that organic watch time and really trying to figure out the avatar of like finding your Frank, like Christine Smallhorn likes to share all the time, is so important. Like, who is watching your video? How old are they? How much money do they make? What are their interests? What subject matters matter to them? What type of content do they want? It's fun, man. And I think that the future of technology in these platforms is something. But yeah, if Dale can pop up here and chat about the short form game, everybody should go follow him on TikTok. He's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. And that, so that's, and I've mentioned before, when we started this channel, it was very strategic. It was intentional, right? It wasn't, I came in on a mission. There was no, it was no like, oh, I've been in real estate for 5-10 years. Let me make a channel to supplement my business, or, there wasn't any, it was like I said, extremely strategic and intentional. The whole goal, and this is what I always ask people, is like, what's the goal of your channel? Our goal was to make the phone ring. And so if we wanted to get found sooner rather than later, that's where I believe search was the reason. Because if I would have made, well, Levi's a brand new real estate agent, let me do a personal vlog, I would have to find people that are interested in me. Now, could I make badass content? Well, I don't know, and probably not in the beginning. Am I a Casey Neistat? Not exactly. So I don't know how I could turn every single day of my life and make it interesting like he can, which is amazing. That's the thing. But he grew the most from consistently posting, and even posting for 3 years, every single day for 3 years. So that was optimizing for the audience, right? Because and the consistency found his audience. And but we got our first phone call in 30 days of the channel. So we probably had 10 to 12 videos up and only 48 subscribers. And I remember very specifically, and the client that called us had $1 million budget, which, in real estate terms, that could be on average a $30,000 commission if we close that. Well, the thing is that he found us because I made a video on a specific neighborhood. Nobody else in Dallas had made a video on that neighborhood. And the channel is not searchable in the beginning. Your channel is not likely ever going to pop up in search. It took us over a year to become a preferred channel. Now, channels can pop up in search as a preferred channel, I believe, once you've established a significant library and keywords that funnel up to that channel. But if you search, Dallas, Texas, or, living in Dallas, Texas within our first 30 days, our channel's not going to pop up. We don't have an extensive library. But he searched that specific neighborhood. We were the only ones that had a video because that neighborhood was not highly searched in Dallas, but it's right next door to me, and it's one of my favorite neighborhoods. So I did make that video because I wanted to, not because it had the highest search results, but I also optimize it to keywords. But when he called, that's what he said. He's like, look, we're looking to move to that specific neighborhood. You're the only one that had a video on it. We really found value in the video, and we just thought, why not give you a call? And that was his exact words, which was awesome. And so therefore he didn't say, well, I noticed you only have 48 subscribers, so I don't think you're legit, or you've only got 12 videos on your entire channel, so I don't think you're legit. Or, he didn't say, how long have you been in business, or what was your production levels? None of that. Literally found value in a single video, happened to be on the neighborhood he wanted to move to, and he found it because he was searching that neighborhood on YouTube. And so that to me just kind of proved the point to that that's what helps you get found in the beginning. So yes, and now a lot of my videos are based on the audience. I will make videos I don't search and see if it's a searchable content. I know what my audience is looking for now because we have the relationship with them as well. Now, once we make that video, we're going to do optimization on the back end, of course, because as I mentioned, we want it to be backed up by search. So that, I mean, I'm on both sides, so I believe there's definitely ways to do that. So let's see, I'll invite Dell, see if he's available to come up. And are you experimenting
Justin,
right now? Are you experimenting with shorts? I mean, I know you've published some before. Do you have big time?
Big time, yeah. So I'm actually I'm treating it like TikTok. So I'm using the actual YouTube app, and I'm shooting shorts on the fly at the office. So I'm using like content as shorts, so like past short form content. But I'm also treating it just like a social media app because I have a feeling YouTube wants you to use the app. So you can actually do this. This is pretty fun. Save you a lot of money with an editor. You can pull up one of your long form videos on the YouTube app. Then you can click, if you're logged into your account, you can actually click create a short from that video. And then what it does is it automatically links that video to the short form content. So I know I have oodles of long form content on my channels. So every day I'm doing basically one short form content natively in the app from a longer piece of content. And I bet you if I do that consistently for a couple months, it's going to blow up some of my content. So that's one of the strategies I'm doing right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a smart experiment, right? We could say to see what happens there. Now we've got somebody, Carson, who we've have helped, and he's in New Orleans. Now here's the thing: New Orleans, Louisiana, is not the hustling and bustling economy of the world, right? It's not a high relocation market. There's not a lot of people that move to New Orleans. Corporations are not setting up shop there. And it's a small, when you look at the metro of New Orleans, I believe it's less than 300,000, which would make it one of the smallest metro cities in America. So, and it's a major tourist destination. Now, that's the thing, is that you can make content, of course, and attract people that are looking for all that tourist information, but are they ever considering buying a house there? So it's just a smaller market. And Carson is he could be on the cusp of millennial or Gen Z. I'm not sure what the top age of Gen Z is right now, but he's probably on that borderline of either a millennial or an older millennial or a newer Gen Zer, I would say. But otherwise, we've been working with him, and the long form content in New Orleans, again, not a high search volume. And it does okay, and it's still early on, but he, has a knack for short form content and started to make shorts on YouTube, like what you'll see a lot of creators doing, funny spiffs and spoofs and, related to real estate. Sometimes they're 5 seconds, 8 seconds, 15 seconds, 20, kind of all over the place. Well, his shorts are absolutely taking off. And it's starting to really make an impact on his channel. And he's now about to break 1,000 subscribers after, the first few months of the long form content wasn't really gaining a lot of traction. Now with the shift to shorts as well, he's getting, 3, 4, 5, 10,000 views on his short form content. And that's really giving him a lot of traction. So that is something else that I would take into consideration if you're having a little bit of trouble getting your channel off the ground, or you're in a smaller market. Then it could be an opportunity to gain that traction. Now, it doesn't necessarily, again, correlate into direct business, but it's definitely gaining the awareness, building up the viewership. And again, someone in a small market, they don't need to do all the volume we're doing. 1, 2, or 3 transactions a month could absolutely change their business. I mean, we've got another guy, Chris. Chris we work with in Northwest Georgia, which is an extremely small market, very rural. You drive 30 minutes in between towns. He came from nursing, got burnt out after COVID, no sales experience, no real estate experience, but, heard what we were doing, wanted to give it a try. And, Northwest Georgia, nobody's on YouTube in Northwest Georgia. He made videos for about 3 to 4 months. And I don't think he's even published a video in the last 4 months or so, but he's still doing business. He's still getting calls. He's doing 1 to 2 transactions a month. And that's enough for him. You think about it, his average price point really in that small market is between 350, 400,000. So that's an average commission of 9 to 12,000. So, he does 2 of those, even on the smaller side. I mean, you think about him, if let's say they were 7,000 each, 15,000 a month for somebody in a small market, rural area, not a high cost of living, kind of that country town feel. He's happy. He's ecstatic, he's got 4 kids. So he loves to be able to spend time with the kids. That's important to him. He doesn't want to be bogged down with transactions. He's not trying to take over the world like some of us are. And he's good with that. So that's the other aspect of it is, and because he hasn't had anybody come into the market, he's backed off of content, which of course we don't recommend. But again, he's at the advantage right now. Now, if somebody else comes into his market and starts making videos, I'm sure he'll probably pick up the steam and start moving, making videos again. But again, it's you have to find out what works for you in your business and how does that, are you okay with that? And that's okay. That's what we want people to do, because 1 or 2 transactions could absolutely change your business. And so, I think there's just ultimately what it comes down to is you have to hit record, right? You have to publish, you have to test things out, and you have to, figure out what's going to work for you on your channel in your market. Everything we always talk about, I always just say they're recommendations. It's just what we have found work with us. We've had several people duplicate that and it's worked for them as well, but they also do things a lot differently. We got a team in Houston that has gotten way more traction in the beginning than we did, but they hired a videographer from the start, which is something we did not recommend. But they've been in real estate, they're established, they've got the budget, they wanted that look. He didn't want to hold a selfie stick, he wanted somebody else to film him. So we're like, okay, we'll go for it. I mean, they got a call within 2 videos and 6 days. By their second video and 6 days of launching the channel, they got a call, and it was a $750,000 buyer, and they closed that deal. He posted it in our Facebook group the other day, closed that deal. Very first call, $750,000 buyer within 6 days. Like I said, it took us 30 days to get our first call. So, now it's just very interesting to see how things play out in different markets and different styles, and ultimately, I believe, when we help people, it's a baseline, and otherwise you have to be involved, you have to be in your business. And I think that's what's so key about being the practitioner and being involved in your business is experimenting and testing and seeing the results and the successes and the learnings. I don't like the word failures, because I feel like if you learn something, you don't really fail. You just figure out a different way to do it, right? So, you find out the successes, the learnings. What could you do differently? All of that. And that it just really comes down to giving it a shot. But now that shorts are searchable, I do believe they're going to get thrown in the shorts feed one way or another. They will or they won't. You'll know if they get thrown in the shorts feed because they'll get 1,000 views or 2,000 or 3,000 very quickly, and then it'll kind of die off. But if you want that short to be evergreen, I do believe here, Justin, if you're still with us, I do believe optimizing the shorts on the back end will be very important to an evergreen strategy, because what I've seen, until I see otherwise, that the shorts feed is a live or die. Live or die. It is like you get in that shorts feed, and if you're in there for 2 or 3 hours, you can get a ton of views. But after you get out of the shorts feed, whatever that means, I guess YouTube just starts promoting it on the shorts feed, then that's it. It's probably not going to come up in suggested or browse from there, and search is going to be what saves it on the back end. So that would be something I would consider and think about. Or if you just want the initial exposure and you want it to, you don't want to worry about that stuff, and you want to publish 2 or 3 per day and just go for volume, that's one way to do it as well. So I think there's a lot of different ways to, you can try to achieve the results you want, but it's going to come down with consistency and understanding, why you're doing what you're doing. So, well, that kind of puts us at the top of the hour. Is there anything, Justin, you would like to throw in there at the end or add to that if you're still with us? He's probably already off on the next thing. Chrissy, I don't know if you're still there or not. No. Okay. All right. Armando, any closing thoughts, comments that you had for us today? Unless you've already...
Yeah, I'm about to start my calls, but yeah, no, it's good stuff. I got a lot of good nuggets, and just to do it right, just to do something, and to kind of see, kind of taking what we're learning here and then just implementing it.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you all for joining us today. Hopefully you found this helpful, and you can find us YouTube for Real Estate, the podcast. And if you want to catch the replay of this or any of the other previous episodes, that's where we repost this, is on the podcast, YouTube for Real Estate with Levi Lascsak and Travis Plumb. Thank you for joining us today, and we will see you next week. Thank you for joining us on today's podcast. If you're interested in partnering with us to access our YouTube course and coaching at no cost, schedule a call at passiveprospectingpartner.com.